Your journey to the unknown begins now. Have your boarding passes ready.
Welcome to the Supernatural Station podcast, the only train ticket to take you further and further into the unexplained. I'm your host, Jaron Daniels, and I'm with my twin brother, Roman Daniels. How's it going?
I'm doing well. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Awesome.
Tonight, this is going to be a fun one. We have something hot off the steamroller for you guys. Something brand new, something that we're trying out, but we're excited to do it because we like our history and we like our ghosts. And we like everything in between. So, we bring you the evidence report. This one's on Scofield, Utah.
And the winter quarters mine. Also, evidence is so important to ghost stories, to hauntings, you know. A lot of times there are places that don't have a dark history, but they're haunted, and those are kind of baffling. But then there are these ones that's like, okay, makes sense. There's a reason why this place is pretty haunted. And we have a close relationship to this place. Our family, our grandpa and his brothers built a summer home out there, and so we'd spend a lot of summers up there. So we'll get into that as we get closer to the end of the report. But we're going to start with the evidence.
And the reason we chose Scofield, before we knew all the things we know now, was because of the history and because of the time we spent there. We saw some weird things. And if you follow us at all, you probably remember some of those stories, but we're going to delve into it a little deeper today. So thanks for being here, and let's delve right into it, Rome.
Yeah, let's jump in.
It's quiet now. A reservoir, a cemetery on the hill, an old school, and the remains of what used to be one of the busiest coal operations in the state. But at the turn of the 1900s, this was a booming mining town, until one terrible morning changed everything. And if you believe in the stories, it left something else behind.
Back in the 1870s, the place people now call Scofield was known as Pleasant Valley. Ranch land, scattered homesteads. That changed when rich coal seams were discovered in the canyon. Mining camps sprang up, winter quarters, hail, and eventually the town of Scofield itself. Named after mine official Matt B. Scofield, once the railroad pushed into the area, this quiet valley started feeding coal to the rail lines all over the West.
Men who worked these seams came from everywhere: Wales, England, Scotland, Finland, Italy, and Greece, as well as local Mormon families. Scofield grew fast. Company houses, stone storefronts, churches, a school, and a main street that, according to some accounts, stretched more than a mile. But everyone understood what they were trading for: a paycheck. Coal mines meant dust, gas, rocks hanging over your head. Every shift underground was a roll of the dice.
Yeah, that's scary. Think about working in the mines. Like, just think about that's your job every day. I know that we have like hardworking guys because we're different. We work in it's hard work, but it's in an office, you know.
It's hard on your mind.
It's hard on your mind. It's hard dealing with employees and angry customers and stuff. So that part can be a challenge, but not like this. Like, you're in risking your life. All that's above you is extremely heavy rock that could just fall and collapse on you at any second. You know, if things are not secured like they're supposed to be, and you don't have those assurances. As we read this evidence report, you're going to see that there really was no regulation for mines. They especially out west like this, it was such a money maker that they just didn't have time or energy or even maybe the care to like really make sure it was safe.
Yeah, you're breathing in the worst of the worst. I'm super claustrophobic, so I would lose my mind in there. I need to see the sun, so I would be losing my mind with that too. And you're working with like probably a 13, 14, 15-year-old boy next to you, and you're in your 40s. So all the men were working and the kids that were not really fully adults. So it was kind of a scary situation. And it's funny that he just named it Matt B. Scofield. Let's just name it Scofield. I mean, anyone that's like a rich guy, you definitely want to name a city after you for some reason. It's always got to be your last name. So it's funny how that works. But it was called Pleasant Valley before. and how fast can something go from pleasant to super scary?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what we're here to talk about.
So we're going to go to what happened, the tragic occurrence of the Winter Quarters mine. Now, Winter Quarters is right next to Scofield. So there's Scofield, which is this tiny little town, and then there's which is surrounded by mountains. And in between one of those mountains, there's a little canyon, and that canyon is where the Winter Quarters mine is. And so that's where these people would work, and that's why they were in Scofield, is because they had to establish their living situations so close to Winter Quarters, which was, a small horse ride, probably, or a little buggy ride to that mine. So on May 1st, 1900.
Wait, but even though this was called Winter Quarters, something scary happened on May 1st. Go for it, Rome.
May 1st, 1900, around 10:28 in the morning, those odds finally caught up to the Winter Quarters. Deep in the number 4 shaft, a spark hit a cloud of coal dust. The explosion tore through the mine, and the toxic afterdamp that followed, those invisible gases, finished what the blast started.
Around 200 men and boys were killed. Some died instantly in the explosion. Others suffocated where they stood, tools still in their hands, and at the time, it was the deadliest coal mine disaster in American history.
Think about that. In all of America. Why Utah? I mean,
we always say, why Utah?
I know. Why do we suck in basketball? Why don't we have a football team? I'm going sports, but you know what I mean.
Why is the housing cost so crazy? Come on, Utah. What's going on here?
Why is everybody moving here?
I'll live in that mine. I'm taking everything back. More than 100 women were widowed. Roughly 270 children lost their fathers in one single day.
That's so sad.
So suddenly, Scofield was less of a town and more of a field hospital. Basically a morgue. Boarding houses, barns, churches, you name it, any large room, were turned into places to lay out the dead.
Man. Coffins had to be shipped in by train. People from towns down the line sent flowers, especially lilacs, for funerals and to help with the overwhelming smell in the buildings where bodies rested, waiting to be claimed.
I like the purple. I love lilacs because the purple.
So when you're up there in Scofield, and I think that whole area, that whole canyon area, has a lot of natural lilac. It grows there naturally, and it smells really good, and it's beautiful. And I think as we were reading this, I think part of it too was they wanted that brightness, because it was so dark and so tragic. They wanted something beautiful, to look at, and also help with the smell. So it was those. It's like, let's turn something so tragic into a little bit of, I don't know. We need something to make us feel so.
I guarantee
not so dreary.
People didn't have cologne. People didn't have deodorant. People didn't have the necessities like we do now. So lilacs were like a natural cologne anyway. So that was probably the best bet at that point. Nearly 150 miners were buried together in the Scofield Cemetery on the hill. Many of their headstones share the same date, May 1st, 1900. Others were carried out on a special funeral train buried closer to home. The mines did reopen. Scofield lived on, but the boom was over. At the morning, never really left. Today, driving through, Scofield feels almost like a ghost town. It is a ghost town.
Yeah.
There's only 25 people there, year-round. Did you know that?
Yeah, 25 people. So the census up there hasn't changed for like 3 to 4 years, and it's always 25. Luckily there's loyal people that love that area and want to stay, those 25 loyal people. And actually, Scofield is somewhat close to a place called Price, which is another really small town. That's where, like, if there's children that live in Scofield, they get bused from Scofield into Price to go to school. So it's a really interesting place. We've often compared it to the Beetlejuice town, because it kind of has that vibe, but Beetlejuice town is way more populated, obviously.
It's cool because it's like there's a lake, so if you want to go ice fishing, there's a lake. They have a little store. There's a railroad that goes through town, and then there's just a bunch of cool cabins in town, like small houses and stuff. There's a more revamped church that people that live in town go to, but then there's a school right behind it, and we'll have stories about the school here very soon.
Personal ones.
Very personal to us.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Rome.
All right. Yeah. So we're going to talk about the early ghost stories that were in the headlines. So this as relates to newspapers back in the day. It didn't take long for stories to start. Within a year of the explosion, newspapers were already talking about the winter quarters as more than just dangerous. They were calling it haunted.
One article described superstitious miners who had come to believe in the property was inhabited by a ghost. It said several men heard strange and unusual stories, noises, and others favored with the keener vision claimed that they had actually seen a headless man walking about the mine.
I thought that was interesting. It said a keener vision. That was actually an actual piece that was written in this newspaper. So those favored with a keener vision. It's like the ones that are more like mediums, the ones that have that
Y'all seers out
sense,
there with the
you know?
hand and the eye in the middle, you know?
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. I think we should have a shirt now that just says favored with keener vision.
I love that.
I mean? Who would buy that? Let us know if you'd buy that.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll give some away for free too. The piece went on to say that this headless figure would sometimes climb into the coal cars, ride with the drivers to the mouth of the tunnel, then vanish.
No way.
Only to reappear deeper inside. According to the report, 25 to 40 miners had thrown up their jobs because of it.
25
So
to 45. They didn't even know. They were just like, it was around that range, but that's still pretty crazy. That's a lot of people just being like, I'm out.
Yeah.
This dude's on my train cart every day.
So that's the crazy thing. It's already scary in mines. Not to mention rakes. We haven't even talked about rakes. Who knows what's living in those mines besides ghosts? And now you got to deal with ghosts and the actual real dangers of a mine, right? It's not like they've fully fixed this place and made it fully safe, right? Like, what caused the mine to explode was coal dust, and what they found out later was keeping it wet was what helped, so the dust didn't fly in the air. As long as it stayed somewhat damp and moist. You kind of see this on construction sites, like where they don't want all the dirt to fly in the air, so they're always like spraying it with this water, so it kind of stays slightly wet, and it just helps to keep things cleaner but also safer. And with the cult especially, because that really mattered.
Well, and the cool thing is outside papers outside of Utah started picking this story up. One of them called Winter Quarters the Haunted Mine and talked about miners on strike, not just over safety, but because they believed something supernatural was stalking the tunnels. So this was from other papers like in Colorado or Idaho or something.
Arizona.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. That's really cool. Around that time, a spiritualist paper referred to the mine simply as Sandy McGovern, like the ghost itself had become the mine's identity. The headless miner, so we're going to get into him. So Sandy McGovern, we just mentioned him. That name, Sandy McGovern, shows up in later ghost stories. In those versions, Sandy is a Scottish miner killed in the explosion whose head was never found.
No way.
It's like our own little headless horseman, but headless miner, you know?
That sounds scary. Like, can you imagine there's just like a body that, I mean, we're going to get into this further, but there was bodies that, of course, were unidentified. But the worst one out of that would be one that doesn't have a face. It's just missing the whole head. Yeah. That would be crazy. So I mean, he had to have been really close to the explosion, you know, sadly.
Let me read this part. Down in the dark, men said they saw him, a figure in work clothes with nothing where his head should be. Walking the workings, standing behind them in the shadows. Some mule drivers swore that on certain runs a headless man would sit behind them in the coal car. He wouldn't speak, wouldn't move. Just ride along in the dark. As soon as they reached the first silver of daylight at the portal, he'd be gone.
No way. See, I would probably quit from that.
Yeah. I could, as much as we like this stuff, as much as we're into supernatural stuff, when it affects your job or your life,
you're like,
you know,
old no head over here is literally like I'm freezing to death. He's looking at me without a head. No, I ain't messing with that. That's crazy.
One account talks about a miner hearing a voice right over his shoulder whisper, "Go back, go back." He dropped his tools, bolted to the surface, and refused to ever work there again.
Whether Sandy McGovern was a single person or name pinned to a collective fear of dozens of unidentified dead, the effect was still the same. Winter Quarters wasn't just dangerous anymore. It was cursed.
Yeah. Pretty crazy stuff. There was a book that our cousin had referred us to, and I don't remember the name off the top of my head. It's not right in front of me. But it was a book about old ghost towns, old of the West, so American West. And Winter Quarters was in there. This guy that wrote the book actually went and camped at Winter Quarters. He pitched a tent in the canyon. And he wasn't the only one that mentioned this, but he does mention in his book that while staying there, he encountered wailing and moaning sounds in the canyon as he was trying to sleep. And it was like the sounds of widows, the sounds of men, the sounds of agony, the sounds of like just pure pain and helplessness, and he just, I don't think he stayed the whole night, if I remember in the book, and I'll have to verify that, but I think he left.
I mean, winter quarters is in between two big mountains, and it's like really thin. It's just got enough of a trail for like horses or a vehicle, and then there's just two big canyons, like one on each side with just massive trees on the one side, and then the mine on the other side. And personally, me and Roman have been there a few times, and the old general store that was there, it's just sitting on it's just an L shape now. It used to be 4 walls, now it's just 2.
Yeah, it's just like a foundation with just 2 walls that are still standing, and everything else is gone.
And it just, right when you see that, you're just like, boom, there's dread. You can just feel the dread. Right when you see that building, you're just like, whoa.
And for those listening to the podcast, we will be posting several photos with this post. Like when we post on Instagram, when we post on our Facebook group page, that kind of thing, we're going to make sure that we have a lot of good photos so you don't have to go search these. But if you're interested and you're kind of the armchair detective like a lot of you might be that listen to our show, feel free to check it out. There's a lot of cool pictures.
And lastly, we know the mine disaster explosion was huge because on the other side of the mountain, you can see at the very top of the canyon, at the very, very top, there's an old wagon train sitting there.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like a mine wagon train.
Heavy iron, mass, like steel, whatever it's made out of.
Blue. Like Captain America kicking it across the whole mountainside,
Like, I don't even think Hulk could have thrown it that far, Maybe.
Jeez.
We're going to have a little comic book reference there. So, yeah. We're going to talk about lights in the cemetery now.
Let's talk about the lights, because the cemetery is another really weird place about Scofield.
Yeah, it's eerie when you go there because, again, it's mentioned here, but almost every tombstone there says May 1st, 1900, and they've since been rebuilt. They used to be this just old wood that was super cheap, and it all started falling apart. So many of them actually are sort of unmarked now because they couldn't read who they were anymore. And so they've just kind of created new headstones for them out of wood that are just like unmarked. But then a lot of them are marked, so I actually want to go look for Sandy McGovern. I want to see if his name's up there.
We definitely should be looking for that name. Yeah. So, lights in the cemetery. The mine wasn't the only place where people felt something was wrong. Up on the hillside, the Scofield Cemetery, which overlooks the whole town, by the way, where many of the victims were buried, stories spread about the lights moving among the graves. Old accounts say miners refused to go into the cemetery after dark because strange blue lights would appear around the headstones of disaster victims. These weren't lanterns someone forgot to put out, by the way.
Yeah.
The way the story goes, the lights hovered over and drifted just above the ground.
Sounds a lot like orbs. We hear this a lot with the stories we hear, whether it's ghost stories, whether it's Bigfoot. You hear it around Bigfoot too, but whatever it is, it's like an energy source, some surmise, and it does seem like they just kind of bounce around. They have like a mind of their own, kind of bounce around, and kind of low to the ground sometimes, like that. So, and they're always a bluish. I've noticed there's always like a bluish or pearly sort of tone.
Yeah, they don't describe how big they are, I don't think, but usually you hear like they're like basketball size or
smaller,
grapefruit.
Yeah,
sometimes baseball, something like that.
Old accounts say miners refused. Oh, you already read that part, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's one report.
Yeah. One report claimed that when those lights were seen at a particular grave, another death in town wasn't far behind. People even tried covering some of the tombstones with blankets to see if that would snuff out whatever was glowing. According to the stories, it didn't. The lights still showed from town, floating above the covered markers. So right above the blankets, they're still floating. So it's like they are claiming those specific graves,
Yeah,
Makes
it's
you
like,
wonder.
I don't know if anyone ever played that Onimusha or whatever.
Oh yeah, that game was sweet.
It was like from PlayStation 2.
I want to play it now.
Yeah, but this samurai dude would like kill somebody and then he would like collect their soul, and it was like a little orb. And I just picture the orbs floating around like that until he collects them. They just do what that's saying.
I literally think that was based on this. Like it was supposed to be the death of the souls of the dead.
Like they would literally just be like, and then he'd go and suck them in. Pretty cool.
And it gave him like strength or whatever.
Random reference, but fun.
Whether these lights were some natural phenomenon or just the way grief and fear showed up when you're staring at a hillside full of the same date, the cemetery quickly became a place people respected in the daytime and avoided at night.
And we have first-hand account of this. For some reason, well, now you guys know we're doing a podcast about this, but we were like the only kids that would go up to the cemetery. Like everyone else would stay away. Even when it was like hustle and bustle, they had this thing called Pleasant Valley Days where there would be a parade in town and a lot of people would stay and everything. So it was busier at that time. And it was around 4th of July. So you'd see fireworks and all that kind of stuff. But when it was black, when it went dark at night over there, it was pitch black. It wasn't like, when you're in a city. And we would crawl up the mountainside to the cemetery and we would do a ghost investigation. We used to do that a lot when we were kids with EVP recorders and camcorders. And it was the old school ones, the handheld old school ones,
What's interesting about where the cemetery is placed is that it's up on its own like hill platform type thing. So that it's like as flat grand land as they could make up along that hillside because it's right up against a mountain. And it's kind of weird because you can see like the whole entire valley. You can see all of Scofield from up there. So like if there are ghosts up there, which we believe there are, they can see everything all the time. They can see who's all down there walking around. They got the high ground, is kind of how it feels. Yeah. And then the other weird thing is if you're down at the town, you can actually see pretty well up there too. Like you can see what's going on up there. So it's not like hidden away. There's not trees that are covering it or anything. It's just like a platform.
It's just right there. It's like reminding you of how scary it used to be or how scary it is now.
Yep.
So I think that that was a good story about the lights. We haven't seen any of those lights, I don't think, on our side.
Actually, no. When I was reading this, I forgot to mention, because we'd never told this on the podcast, but our cousin, Sean, who's been on our show a few times, one time him and I were down in Scofield, and there's an old building that used to be the pharmacy, and up in the window, him and I witnessed a white orb floating around in there. Like, we saw it with our eyes during the daytime, just floating around. Like, there's like windows, and there's kind of these little lines in between the windows so you can't see right, and so you see it float through a window, and then it comes out, and then now it's in the other window. So it's floating through that building.
Is that the one with all the little dolls and stuff in the window?
No, it's the old pharmacy. So it's like they set it up as like a bar cafe for a little while too.
Okay, I
after
remember
it was
that.
the pharmacy.
Dang, where was I at with this orb situation?
I don't know, but me and Sean, and we could ask him, he'll swear to it too. We both saw it just floating around, and it was a little baseball-sized, like white, like no blue, just white, and it had that little tail kind of following it, that little light.
That
tail.
one was like half dead. It's like white, so it's just like,
yeah,
it's like losing its light.
Maybe like I wonder what the blue versus the white is. Yeah. We want to get into the voices in the canyon.
Yeah.
Modern encounters. So this is gonna go. So that's the history. So we wanted to kind of cover the history that we know, what's been found online, what we can see online, because it is not something that was heavily covered. At the time it was, but I think now it's kind of hard to corroborate everything.
Yeah.
They have old historians. When you're in town, you can actually go into the school during the Pleasant Valley days, during the 4th of July, and there's usually a curator, somebody who takes care of that school in the old buildings, and I can't remember her name right now, Annie, I think. Mm-hmm. She's the one that kind of like knows a lot of the history, and she'll tell you as you're kind of torn through the school and stuff, kind of like the history of it. And I've learned a lot more just doing this research than even that. And she does a great job, but it's just that there's more to it. There's more to the haunting side of things that they don't want to talk about.
Which in a way we probably appreciate, because they're not getting bombarded with people trying to do a ton of ghost hunting over there.
Yeah.
And, just kind of causing a ruckus, because people do live up there year round.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do want to check it out and you're in the area, it's a really beautiful town. It's scary. There's a scary vibe for sure. But it's still really fun. There's something fun about it too.
So we should go straight to the school then, because we're just talking about that. Let's go to the school for a minute. So, okay. Energy that lingers. The school.
Scofield School has its own place in history. In the immediate aftermath of the explosion, local memories say one of the early school buildings was used as a temporary morgue. Bodies were brought in and laid out on rows so that families could come through and identify them. Lilacs had been placed upon them by the train that were carried inside for the funerals to try to soften the harsh reality of the scene.
Later, a new school was built on the hill above town. Over the decades, as Scofield shrank, the building became more than just a classroom space. It was used as a community center, with quilting circles in the rooms and displays on the walls. Old class photos, pictures of miners, and information about the winter quarters disaster. And that's what I was mentioning, the Annie thing. They have it set up that way now. So you get in there, there's pictures all along the wall, and they've got like American flags and kind of cool displays in there.
The one that freaks me out the most is there's a picture where there's like the bodies stacked, like laid out in a line, and there's just sheets over them so you can't see them. It just has such an eerie feel. You know what that actually reminds me of, Rome? This is what it reminds me of, not Beetlejuice. It reminds me of Salem's Lot, Part 2.
Yes.
If you see Salem's Lot Part 2,
yes,
with the little cigar smoker guy, that school over there was freaky. It had this. It looks the same as that school, like very similar.
Yeah.
So check that out if you get a chance.
Yeah.
It's
what's
crazy.
creepy about that picture is you can see like charred feet sticking out of the sheets, and sometimes like little pieces of their head kind of popping out, like they didn't fully cover it.
Yeah, like a little strand of hair
really
or
sad.
something.
Yeah, it's so sad to know that happened.
Yeah.
People who go inside talk about a strange emotional charge, hallways that feel heavy even when they're brightly lit, the sense of someone walking just behind you, and sounds when there shouldn't be any.
Ugh.
There are plenty of comments and stories from visitors who say they've heard footsteps in empty corridors, doors closing on their own, playful but unsettling noises in the gym, almost like kids are still in there, just out of sight. And we had that experience, guys. We had that 100%. Experience.
That's why I went, because it's bringing back like PTSD, because all right, let's tell our story. Let's
jump right into that.
So we were in Scofield one year, hanging out at Pleasant Valley Days. It was in July. Great time. Hanging out with my first cousins, Sean, the one that you guys probably have seen on older episodes, and also one of our cousins, Denise and Emily, and us.
Pretty much all the brave kids.
Pretty much that age group. They're like, oh, go on, like we're cleaning up the cabin. You got to get out. So we always had to just like go find something to do, right? So we're out there, and we were filming independent films at the time. So Sean brought his camera with, and I don't even know if we were really trying to investigate. We might have been.
So the reason he brought that camera is it was a Sony Handycam. They had the ability back then, because we're talking like early 2000s. It was like one of the only cameras that you could buy for our price range that actually had night vision. And it wasn't the best, but it had night vision. And so we took that one on investigations.
So we decide to go walking around the town. And as we get to the school, it's also on the other side of the mountain of Scofield across. So the cemetery's on one side, the school's on the totally opposite side. And as we get to the school, the cool thing about it was there was bats flying around, and it just had this cool ambiance. You know, you kind of had I feel like Batman around here. There's like bats everywhere. We get to the Scofield school. We're hanging out with our cousins. We have that little night vision camcorder, and we have an EVP recorder as well, and we're just hanging out at the school. And we decide, hey, we went in here earlier in the day, and we saw those cool pictures, and we saw the things that they were showing everybody. Why don't we just go back and see if that door's unlocked to where you could get into the gymnasium? We try to get in. It was like Scooby-Doo. We can't find a way in, but we're investigators. Now we're feeling the itch. So, little card trick here and there, skibby-doo-dah, we got in. Popped open that door. I know, don't tell too many people. We were really young, so you can't get us anymore. We open up the door and look around. My neck gets real long, and I look around one side, and then I look the other way. No. But we get inside, and there was a little table there where they'd put all the stuff that they were presenting, like pamphlets and stuff. So we're like, okay, let's leave the camera here, and we'll come back. We'll just record. And so that's what we did. And we caught some crazy evidence, you guys. We're going to have to post the video, but it was, 11 minutes or something like that?
Yeah, so what really got me was when I was reading our little evidence paper here, and how it was talking about how playful but unsettling noises in the gym, almost like kids are still in there, just out of sight. Now, we had that on our video, so we came back, so we left it alone. The camera was alone by itself on this little table that was in the room, and as time went on, we left it there for 30 minutes or so. We've cut the video down, so it's a little shorter, so it just has the good parts in it. But the camcorder starts to shake and turn a little bit on its own, like something's trying to turn it. You also hear like the little fiddling, like it's trying to turn it off or something. And then you also hear what sounds like basketballs bouncing, like and kids like sneakers, like boom, boom, like the
And then there was this little creepy laugh that was like, it almost sounded like something spinning, but there was a little laugh in there, like something creepy. And that part, the rest of it felt like residual energy maybe. Yeah. But that one felt like sinister, huh? Mm-hmm. It didn't feel like good at all. But the thing is we didn't think we were going to catch anything. We thought, because this is where we were used to ghost hunt investigating, and You'd
It's
catch
hit or
like
miss.
you'd catch
Yeah.
an orb here and there. You'd catch like a random vocal, but we never thought we'd catch like this amount of evidence in such a small amount of time.
Yeah.
So we were pretty blown away, you guys, and it was exactly like they described on that. So
Yeah.
Oh, that's a mast right there.
Right there.
That's what got me when I was reading that. I'm like, wow, it's just crazy. And we had situations come up later that kind of came from this too.
yeah, and we will link that video, by the way, like you were saying, to this episode, so you'll be able to click on that YouTube video and get to it.
And if you are watching this, you're gonna see that we've already edited clips into this, so you would have already seen hopefully some of that. But we will add a little link to the video too, so you can actually find it. But yeah, so that's it's a very emotionally charged area, and it is weird that 25 people want to stay living there year round, because I'm sure they experience stuff all the time, or they're just so desensitized that they just don't even notice it.
Yeah, and guess what?
Yeah.
The school was not our only strange moment in Scofield, as Roman was alluding to.
Yeah.
The same night, actually, it was the same night.
Yeah.
This situation was the exact same night. So let's just assume it was about 9 or 10 o'clock, or about 9 o'clock when we were doing the ghost investigation. And then we get to bed around like maybe 11, 10:30.
Yeah, because like in the mountains, it gets dark really fast, and all the adults go inside, and we didn't get to be inside the little summer house. We had to be out in the tents. We could stay in the house for a little while to watch movies or whatever, but for the most part, we had to go back outside to our tent because there wasn't enough room in the house. It's kind of a small house for the larger amount of people that were kind of there, and the adults, they need those nice warm beds and stuff. So
this part of our
Yeah.
story is called The Trip to the Mine and the Tent of Hands. Now, I'm actually going to call it The Trip to the School and the Tent of Hands because it was the same night.
Mhm.
So we get back to our campsite. Well, we call it the campsite. It was just the backyard of the cabin, like you were saying. All the adults were sleeping in the cabin. We were in a tent. And I remember Roman, myself, and my cousin Sean were all in the same tent. It was a 3-person tent. We're all teenagers, mid-teenagers, like 14-ish, maybe 13, something like that. And we're hanging out in the tent and, having a good time. We get ready for bed. We start falling asleep, right? And all I think I remember waking up to originally having to pee, but I heard noises. And I'm like, what is this noise? So what it sounded like, you guys, was there was a massive storm outside with just massive wind. So I was thinking there was the wind was moving our tent all over the place, right? And it felt really heavy. So I'm like, whoa, there's like a massive windstorm going on. And so I kind of look up as I'm sleeping. I slept on my side, so I kind of look this way. And I remember looking up at the tent, and all I saw, you guys, on every angle of the tent. And by the way, just to give you context, there's a street light that aims right at the tent from this side. So if you're watching this on video, our tent's right here and the street light would hit it right here. So when the street light would be hitting it, you would see shadows of people standing around it if it was a real person. But what I saw when I looked up at the top of that canvas was little kid hands about, half the size of my hand or even smaller. And there were sets of 2, and they were hitting into the tent from all angles of the tent. It was up at the top, on the sides, pushing into the tent with their hands, like little invisible ghost hands, you guys, but tangibly touching the tent. And I remember, whoa, that's not wind. I don't know what that is. And so now I'm frozen in shock. And as I'm frozen in shock, watching these little hands try to hit the tent, I did see the street light, so I was looking for shadows. I thought it might have been another cousin making fun of us or something. But those hands were smaller than all of our hands at the time. And I remember looking over at my cousin, because I was facing the same way as him, and trying to wake him up without making any noise. And when I did that, I looked over at him, and his eyes were wide open, like he's been awake the whole time, and he was just shuddering, like just shaking, and just looking at me. And I'm just looking at him, and we didn't say a word. And for the rest of the night, it didn't stop, you guys. The tent hand thing.
I don't know when it stopped, but it eventually stopped. I just don't know when.
When it stopped was beyond us, because all of us fell asleep from the shock or something. Because I fell back asleep somehow, even though I had to pee really bad too. And I remember waking up, and then we asked you, because we didn't get a chance to see Roman when we were in the room, because he had his head the other way. And he said he had... What did you see?
Yeah, so I saw the same thing. I was looking up at all the walls of the tent, and I could see like perfect little finger indents. Like you could see all the fingers, so you knew it was like 5 fingers, just like a little kid hand. You saw like the sets. I saw several sets of them all along the side, and especially there was one set or 2 sets in particular that were really pushing at my head, like
really close to your face,
really close to my head, because I was pretty close to the edge of the tent, and they're really trying to And if I remember right, it's been a while. But if I remember right, I do feel like I could almost, they were hitting me, sort of, it was physical, in a way. And it was one of the scariest things I've ever had happen to me. And I know same for you and same for Sean, because we knew right away that it was something not right, you know. And you could hear giggling. That was the other weird part. You could hear little kids giggling, like when they're doing something mischievous.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was very faint, like it was in the wind. So there was some wind that night too, but literally there was no other people out. Like everyone was asleep. It was probably like 2 or 3 in the morning, like the witching hour, when this was happening. And I don't even know what else to say about it. We woke up, we went and asked our other cousins, hey, were you guys messing with us last night? And they're like, what are you talking? They were so confused. And they had all been sleeping in tents on the other side, and totally far from where we were at. And we were flabbergasted. We told all the adults, and of course some of them believed us. Some of them were like, oh, that's crazy, whoa. And then other ones are like, no, you want some breakfast? Forget about it.
Just kind of brushing it off, yeah.
And but that was a really crazy experience. And so I don't know, what are your thoughts? What do you think actually happened? What was the reason behind that, you think?
Well, I think I have a really hard time. We've talked about this on other shows. We were on Matt's show from Bigfoot Crossroads.
And we were on Belief Hole for their listener stories, and they told this story too.
Yeah. So check those shows out. We can also share those links on this episode. But I just have a hard time believing that they are children ghosts, just because it seems weird that they would be lingering, sadly, in this area for so long, maybe looking for their dads or whatever, or really sad to think about. But maybe it was. Maybe that's what it was, is a bunch of kids that were still hanging out at the school bouncing those balls, that we heard on our video. And we attracted them because we were kids, sort of kids too, we're a little older, but maybe we attracted them, and they followed us back, and
but if they
decided
were
to play a trick on us,
the theory checks out, but then it's
but it bothers me.
It bothers me because they're kids, but also how did they escape the area? Because you know how residual ghosts are supposed to kind of stay where they're at. They're supposed to go down the stairs over and over again, or walk through the wall over and over again. They're not supposed to be showing up in the tent now and messing with you far away from the school, So I'm
that's why Tim Burton used sandworms on we're mentioning Beetlejuice a couple times in this movie. The whole sandworms thing. You try to leave your house, and the sandworms are there, so you don't leave.
It's like residual.
It's like Tim
They're
Burton's
stuck.
little way of explaining, like, you're going to be in your house forever. Like, you're stuck here. This is your place, you know?
So I don't know what my theory would be either. I tend to believe that it was like more of a mischievous entity that was acting that, just because they knew they were playing on our fear and the thing that we already caught on camera. That's my thought, but at the same time, like, I don't know, maybe it was like weird kid residual. I don't know. It's super weird.
Yeah.
Maybe they were looking for us to, like, maybe because we were slightly older, maybe they thought we were like the older kids that were in the mines, you know, maybe they're older brothers that died.
Yeah.
And so they were coming to, you know, hey, like, get attention to us again. I'm not sure, but
we've also had other things happen up there. We had we went back, so we went one time, and I kind of get the times mixed up a bit, but we went one time and we caught a really good EVP up at the cemetery, and then we went back a second time years and years later, and I myself caught another really cool Class A EVP that I feel like is really pretty good. So we got two pretty good ones up there, but the first one is of note. Actually, they're both of note, but basically we're up at the cemetery, and we'd like to split up a little bit so that we could try to see who's attracting whatever's left up there. Because sometimes, like, especially when it was the three of us, Jaren, Sean, and me, it was like there was times where, like, Jaren was the magnet. There was times where Sean was the magnet. You know, there was times where I was the magnet, depending on what we were doing. It seemed like all of us had, like, our own little skills when it came to things that were attracted our way. A lot of times I felt like I was getting better, like EVPs, and then, like, Jaren was getting all the feelings and getting all the...
Yeah, I always felt like something was, like, coming, like, around me, like, just looking at me or touching me, or I don't know, just had that, you know, like, whoa, help me out, without saying anything, you know?
But Sean always had, like, a good way of, like, knowing where the stuff was, too. Like, it was almost like he was sort of drawn to where the stuff was, too. So, I don't know, we had our own little things, but the first EVP that we caught, was up by this gravestone. Was it Emerson? William or Eric? What was the name? The guy's name? Something Emerson. I remember that.
Yeah.
And
Henry Emerson.
I don't know. Yeah, it was an old Welsh guy. It said that he was born in Welsh, England, and I remember we were doing a recording up there, and basically you hear, as we're sort of talking, you hear right next to his gravestone, you hear this little voice say, "Go away," and it has this very, like, Welsh sort of accent to the way he says it, like, "Go away," you know?
Yeah, it literally says it just like that.
Some ghost voices through the tape recorder.
You know, and so we got that one, and we'll throw that on this video if we can find it, which I think we can. And then the second one was the time that my cousin, my brother, and I went back up there. Only
that was,
a few
what, 3 years ago?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
And we decided we're just going to go up and hang out in Scofield. There was nobody up there. This was like the time
2022 maybe, something like that.
This is the time when it was summertime. It was like May or June, something like that. And we just decided we're going to go camp up there, you know. And so we pitched a tent in the backyard, like old times, you know. And that's what we did. We stayed in the old tent. And then in the morning we went inside the old house and were able to cook breakfast and stuff like that. But that night, before we went into the tents, we went to the cemetery, and I split up from these guys, and I walked over to a different location, not by the Emerson gravestone, but somewhere else. And I was kind of just recording, and I was asking if I could help in any way, like if I could bring peace to any of the wandering souls that might still be up there. And when I ask that, it says, "You can't." Like, you hear this voice plain as day, because I'm like, is there anything I can do to help you, basically? And it goes, "You can't." Like, you know, kind of gruffly, like, rough voice. We're going to play that on here, too.
Are you at peace? Can I help you in any way? Or are you okay? What can I do to help?
But yeah, it was pretty interesting. So we've caught some things, and it seems like there's definitely still energy and spirits that are maybe lost that are stuck up there, you know?
But it's weird that the two things that we caught up there from totally different time spans were both intelligent responses.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Because normally, you know, you'll get the residual. You know, like, I don't know why residual's on my mind right now, but yeah, you caught some really cool, like, super intelligent ones. I always felt like in that cemetery there was something, like I said, something kind of just lingering behind you and just trying to like see what you're up to. So I'm sure that that's what was happening, is just curiosity or whatever, but it never felt weird, like malice or...
No.
I never felt that. There was maybe one area up in the corner that kind of felt that way.
Yeah.
But...
Like if you're facing the cemetery, the top right corner was kind of messed up.
Yeah, it had like kind of a weird, maybe there's like more of an angry presence that died there that was just very bitter or something, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was really interesting, you guys. And another time, one last thing just to kind of add to this, we went into winter quarters, like through that canyon again, and my cousin Sean, hoodlum that he is, he found a old train spike. And you know the metal ones, and he picked it up. And
you gotta back it up though. You gotta say what Grandpa said first.
So that's right.
We went up there,
so we go to
important.
winter quarters, and we're like, oh, we're gonna head this way. And my grandpa's sitting on the porch, and he's like, oh, well, make sure you be careful what you pick up out there. Make sure what did he say? What was the word?
Whatever you touch, if you touch anything, just leave it there. Don't bring it back with you. Like don't take it. Leave it there.
And he always had this jokester presence about him, so he'd have a little smile, and you're like looking at him like
is he telling a joke? Like, what is this? Is he just pulling our chain?
Like Theo Vaughn. I never know if he's joking or if he's being serious.
Yeah.
Like Grandpa Gary was like that. He'd just be like kind of smiling, and you're like, all right. So we're like, let's just go, whatever. So we go to the winter quarters, and we're walking around, and Sean's like, oh, this is cool, and he's like, I'm gonna take this for keepsake. And so as we're checking all this stuff out, we felt all this high energy over there, and it just felt very charged. And we never heard I think we heard a moan. We heard a girl moan up there. I remember that, actually. And then we saw I told you earlier, with the train cart way up on the other side, and we're just looking at everything, and probably spent like 2 hours up there. And then we walked back into town, and, the spike that Sean took, he took with him and took it to his house. And this is like... 2 weeks later, that he started reaching out to us, and he's like, I'm getting messed up, you guys. We're like, what do you mean getting messed up? What's going on?
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm having like all these horrible dreams. I'm feeling like I'm getting haunted by something. Like it just feels like there's like this presence, and I can't sleep and all this stuff. And I'm like, whoa. And he's like, and I feel like it has something to do with the spike that I took home. And so he's like, I'm just going to, next time we go to Scofield, I'm going to throw it back. I'm taking it back. So the very next year, he had it for like a whole year. He probably kept it somewhere. I can't remember where he kept it. But we took it back to winter quarters and threw it back where it was at. And he stopped having any issues.
Yeah.
So we believe that there was definitely a tie to that.
And it makes me wonder if Grandpa knew something. Like maybe he talked to, because when you are a new person that comes in and you get, say there's 25 people that live there year round, and somebody new comes in and they're starting to build a summer home, they're going to come talk to you. They're going to you're going to get to know them and stuff. I just wonder if like some of those people like Annie or whatever, maybe they said stuff like, hey, just so you know, there's sort of a curse that if you ever touch anything, that's old here, you just want to leave it. Maybe there's like a weird thing, and we've never been told the full truth of that. But it sounds like, from our evidence search that we did here, we did some research, and it seems like other people say the same thing, that like you shouldn't take anything back. You should just leave it. Like it's cursed stuff, in a weird way now because of the charge or whatever that it holds. And so it's pretty interesting.
So if you've ever done that, take it back.
Yeah. Or better yet, just don't touch it. Just look at it. Just look. Would you just look at that? Just look at it. Just look at it. Just leave it alone though.
Yeah, that's a weird thing. But I do believe there's some truth to it. So just to finalize the whole episode, you guys, thanks for being here with the evidence report. Scofield is one of those places where history and hauntings blur together, and we've noticed that for so many years. So if you have a chance, definitely check it out. A single explosion turned a booming coal town into a mass funeral. It filled the hillside cemetery with identical dates, gave birth to stories of headless miners and blue lights on the graves, and left people over 100 years apart hearing what sounds like crowds or mourners in an empty canyon. Then there's the school that we just talked about, used in the aftermath of placing bodies and bringing the dead, later filled with kids and community events, and now full of stories about footsteps, voices, and in our case, a gym that doesn't sound quite empty when it was supposed to be. And on top of
all that, we have a tent in a quiet yard in a town that's almost a ghost itself, covered in the impressions of small hands no one can fully explain.
Whether you think there's echoes of spirits, echoes left in the land, or the shape of grief that takes on fear and a century to sink that in, Scofield is a reminder that some places just remember.
Yeah. If you ever find yourself driving through the high country of central Utah and you see the sign for Scofield, you can visit the cemetery, the ruins, maybe even peek at the old school. But just remember our grandpa's advice. Don't take anything home that doesn't belong to you.
All right. You hear that first from the Supernatural Station Squad. No, it was crazy, guys. So thanks again for hearing about Scofield. If you guys like this type of show, we're going to be doing them. They're called evidence reports. We'll be talking about different ghost towns, different disasters, hauntings, Washoe Club, whatever it might be. We'll be talking about different things like that. And if you have one you'd like to suggest, please send it our way, and we'd love to delve into it and make it evidence report. And if you
have first-hand encounters at these places, as we kind of announce what we're doing, let us know. Send it in to us. If you have evidence you want to send to us from your own investigations there, send it. Like, that'd be cool to just say, hey, this is from a listener. This is from so-and-so, and this is what, and then you're corroborating all this cool stuff that kind of comes from other people's experiences in these places. And there's so many places in this country, but also abroad, that have lingering souls of energy that just hang out. Like, that just...
There's like a saturation charge in so many places,
Yeah.
Places like that. So if you would like to be a part of the show as well and tell your stories as an interviewee, our email is supernaturalstation5@gmail.com. We'd love to talk to you about your experiences, ghosts, UFO, time loss, Bigfoot, whatever it is. We'd love to have a chat with you. We're all encompassing here, and we definitely trust that you've had an experience. So thanks for trusting in us to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, guys, and we hope you enjoyed this, and stay tuned for the next one.
Peace out, y'all. Peace out.